Hello there, my followers of darkness. Here I am, your host, like always, Lord of Shadows, and welcome everyone to another Shadow Council episode. And how can I present this title this time? Well, let me put it this way. For this very special occasion, because like one of my fellow like Shadow Council members had this wish to discuss about this, I'm gonna start with it's hero time. And with that, if any of you know, you know. But basically, this time in episode 15, we're gonna talk about Ben 10. Everybody, and not specifically the 2005 Ben 10 TV show, but we're gonna talk about the Ben 10 franchise in general. Now, for anyone who never heard of Ben 10, which that will literally mean if you've been like in a cave or your hand in the sand. But basically, Ben 10 was first created in 2005, I think, from the studio Man of Action, which were all, and they were also behind Generator X, Zack Storm, Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and I think all the Ben 10 TV shows until that, like the 2016 version, if I'm correct. And now, with my very microscopic limited knowledge, basically as far as I remember, I think it's about like a kid who has this bracelet, who I think its name is Omnitrix, I think, like, and every time when he's going, oh, it is, oh well, wow, so good so far. Anyway, like every time when he's going to action, I know he like chooses an alien, and basically he claps on it or something, whatever, activates it, and then this beast basically appears, or should I say this kid transforms into this particular alien. Wait, wasn't it actually 10? Right,
Yeah,
10 aliens.
So originally, that's where it kind of gets a little bit confusing. Is originally in the first, I'm trying to think what it would be. That I guess the first season, the first season, I think it was originally 10, and then I'm trying to think, was it season 1 or season 2? I think it was season 2 where he lost Ghost Freak, because Ghost Freak wound up Ghost Freak was like the ghost alien, and he wound up like taking on an entity of his own. And he got a new alien to replace that. But I think I'm trying to think, in the first like series Ben 10, the 2005 series, I think by the end of that series it was over 10 aliens. And then I think the same with Alien Force, the same with like the other Ben 10's Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, and Omniverse. I think it started with 10, but I think they added on as they went along, or they switched out as they went along. I could never really keep track if they actually kept it at 10 and like switched out, or if they actually added to them.
Yeah, and that's why, ladies and gentlemen, that's why he's here, because for this time, because of my lustful, limitless knowledge I have of Ben 10, which is, like I said, very microscopic. This time I'm gonna let my Shadow Council member take the lead, because his knowledge basically of Ben 10 is basically kind of like a sci-fi holy bible. So yeah, so basically this time he's gonna take the wheel, because for the third time, as they say, third time's the charm, my knowledge for Ben 10 is very, very limited, because as I explained to you, I do remember a few things about, like, I remember the main three characters, which were like, Ben, Gwen, and the grandpa Max, I think he was called.
Yeah.
From the first series. Then Alien Force, I think, like with them was also that metamorpho type of guy, Kevin, I think. Who, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't he like at first a villain, and then he teamed up with them?
Yeah, he was a villain in the first Ben 10 series, and then in Alien Force, the first 2 seasons of Alien Force, he was more an anti-hero, like reluctant hero. And I would actually say Ultimate Alien, he was more of a hero, but he became more of a hero as it went along. Although in Ultimate Alien, I think it was the first season, they went back and they revisited him being evil and had him, and they actually did that too in Omniverse, although Omniverse, he wound up just playing the bad guys. But in Ultimate Alien, they actually went back and had him like absorb Ben's Ultimatrix and he kind of like went insane. So they made him like the main villain. It's at the end of season 1. So
Yeah,
he has a very complicated history, but I mean, he is, for the most part, he's a bad guy turned good.
yeah, because I do remember like bits and pieces where like this Kevin guy, like first he was a villain, then he was with them, especially Alien Force, is as far as I remember. Then I remember one time he got he got corrupted or something, I don't know, and then basically he turned evil again, or as some people would say, he got mind fucked, literally just simply confused, and basically, and then like again later on, as far as I remember, they return him back to normal, I think.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah. But I mean, one thing is like now, like I said, mostly I remember is from the first 3, like Ben 10, Alien Force, and Ultimate Alien. And honestly, out of all of them, those 3 are kind of like the one kind of close to me, because what I liked about them is that every single one of them was like a sequel. Like Alien Force was a sequel to like from Ben 10, which I think was like 4, 6, or 5 years after, I think. Because I know they grew. I know they grew up, like they grew older and everything. Although Grandpa Max looked the same. Then Ultimate Alien, I think, like, what is the time skip between
Ultimate Alien? There's not too much of a time skip between that and Alien Force. Those are pretty close together. And Omniverse, I mean, I think I'm looking at Alien Force and Ultimate Alien are pretty close together. Omniverse, I think, is fairly close to the end of Ultimate Alien. But I'm not. Let me look and see.
Yeah, because when it comes to the Omniverse, I seen like bits and pieces. First and foremost, like I didn't follow that one because I didn't like the designs.
Yeah, the designs were
of the characters.
really jarring.
Yeah,
really different.
Yeah,
they made Kevin look like a stoner. They made Kevin look like a stoner. I remember,
and with those green eyes, perfect.
Yeah, I remember seeing the previews for that, and the animation kind of really did put me off too a little bit. And that was like the big comment I saw online back then was they made Kevin look like a stoner. But Ultimate Alien or Omniverse actually got better as it went along. I kind of liked the pairing of Ben and Rook in that.
Wasn't that some kind of a weird alien-looking character?
Yeah, Rook was an alien plumber. And the plumbers are like the intergalactic. They were like the intergalactic police force.
Plumbers.
Yeah.
So basically, galactic Super Marios.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it. But yeah, I like the dynamic between Ben and Rook. Omniverse, I mean, it got better as it went along, and it also split a lot of the episodes up into little arcs of like 10 episodes each. So, I mean, there were like, I think it ran about 8. It ran about 8 arcs, 80 episodes.
Well, that actually kind of makes sense, actually, because I was wondering, because like I've seen all the other shows, and they were like before Omniverse, I mean, and they were like all like 4 seasons, 3 seasons. I think like Alien Force and Ultimate Alien were like 3 seasons each. And then like Omniverse, you have like you said, it's like 8, 7 seasons.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, they went that long, and each and every one of them was like 10 episodes. And now that you explained why, it kind of makes sense, But like, I mean, surely they could have easily made it a little bit shorter than just extended it like that much.
Yeah, they could have condensed it. I mean, there were some arcs that I wasn't crazy about. I thought the arc that was the best in Omniverse, I need to look and see which one it was really quick.
Quick question, Omniverse, because again, I never saw the entire show. I only saw some bits and pieces and some scenes, and some people commenting. But is it just from the name? Like, is this has something to do with like the multiverse or time travel or something?
So some of it, yes. One of the seasons really leans very heavily into that.
Because I've seen different like Ben 10s like in Omniverse. So I'm thinking like, is this kind of like time travel thing or multiverse? Like, I was a little bit confused when I saw like the concept arts and everything.
Yes, some of it dealt with that. I'm looking to see real quick. I'm just looking at. I'm just reminding myself about the arcs really quick. I don't remember if it was. Yeah. Okay. I thought that was into season 2 though. Okay. Yeah. The best arcs of Omniverse, I think, were. Well, actually, yeah. The second one with Malware, and then they did like the last. Actually, they did the last. I think 2 arcs. They leaned more into the time travel, like you said. They leaned more into the multiverse stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which was cool. I mean, I liked how they did that.
Yeah, because I remember when they were announcing Omniverse, like I remember like seeing some news on social media and kind of like, you know, reading about the summary overall, like, you know, what was going to be all about. And it got me confused. Like, you know, the way how they showed the summary, that short one about like different Ben 10s and like this alien Super Mario character, you know, coming in plumber and all that. Like, I was really confused, and I even like didn't understood the timeline, like when this is happening, because like he looks way different than what he did in Alien Race and Ultimate Alien, because like it looked like he got younger.
Yeah, they really, his design, they could have done that better. Omniverse actually like comes like, so year wise, it comes fairly soon after Ultimate Alien ended. I think timeline wise it does too. But I agree, the designs, they didn't really, like, I kind of thought that at first too, that he was younger. I don't know, but the designs kind of grow on you. You get more used to them with Omniverse as you go along. Now, one thing I want to say is, so Ben 10, one of the cool things about Ben 10 is it has a lot of really, really, really popular voice actors and actresses in it.
Yep.
Like from other comic book shows and other shows. It has as Ben 10, and she is the voice of Ben 10, I think, at 10 years old. I think in all of the media.
I mean, I mean, wasn't no. Actually, in the original Ben 10, I do remember, because another friend told me Ben 10 in the first one was actually voiced by Tara Strong.
Yep. She's there the whole way through.
Yeah, but like in Ultimate Alien and Alien Race, someone else voiced them, and this
so in
like what's his name? I know the guy has like a Russian name.
Yeah, so the guy who voices Ben at, I'm trying to remember how old he is in Alien Force, 15, I think. The guy who voices Ben 10 at 15 years old, and then he's the same voice the whole way through, at least through Omniverse, is Yuri Lowenthal.
Yuri, right. I know he had like a Russian name or something. Like, yeah. And Gwen is voiced, that's another thing I knew. Gwen is voiced by that voice actress who voiced, I remember, Tara in Teen Titans, and also Ellie in The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm. Ashley Johnson.
Yes. I know that she was voicing Gwen in those 2 shows, like from 2008, I think, until 2014. I think that's when the I think like that's when the Ultimate Alien ended. I think, right?
Ultimate Alien, yes.
Yeah.
What about Kevin?
What
about Kevin?
The voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I've seen him. I'm not quite familiar with him.
I guarantee you'll be surprised. I mean, I was surprised whenever I learned who it was years ago, but then whenever you hear the 2 characters like in their respective shows, you'll kind of hear it. Greg Sipes.
That's the voice actor.
Mm-hmm. He also voiced Beast Boy in Teen Titans.
You're kidding. Really?
Yeah.
Oh my, oh my God! The way how he voices Kevin and Beast Boy, it's a big difference. Because Beast Boy is more like teenager type, like personality, kind of cool, like goofy a little bit and all that. But like, especially in the Teen Titans, like, uh, but like if my memory doesn't deceive me, Kevin like sounded way more serious and more like stoic, let's put it that way, than what like he did as Beast Boy. Am I
Yeah. Oh,
correct?
he actually voiced Kevin in the reboot Ben 10 2 that came out in 2016.
Oh my God, I that one I didn't watch at all because it looks way childish and pathetic.
No, that one I couldn't watch. The voices, I mean, I don't know. The voices didn't sound right in that to me.
One of my friends who suggested me a couple of times, like from like for like several years, uh, like he suggests me several times across the years to watch Ben 10, to kind of give it a shot since I'm a guy for animation. And I always said like, I don't know, like this type of, I know it's not, it's like I'm not like I didn't have an interest in it. Honestly, like I didn't have any interest in it. But he's like, no, you have to give it a shot. Trust me, you won't be disappointed when you see the first 2-3 episodes of the original one. It will keep you going. Like it will. It's very interesting. And also he told me how to put me in. He's like, he has a lot of cool villains. Trust me, you're gonna love them. And I do remember a few of them. But the one thing he told me, I still remember it. For him, Ben 10 ended with Ultimate Alien. He said that Omniverse and the 2016 version he will never watch because he didn't like the design. Some of the stories, he said that the writing got like really toned down, like from the previous 3, and it became, for him, again, those are his words, not mine. For him, it became too much childish than the first 3 were, because the first 3 were like literally a show that is for everybody. But Omniverse and especially 2016 version became too childish for his taste. That's what he told me. But
yeah, I guess I can see that a little
yeah,
bit.
I mean, after like you and I are talking with this, like I think like I'm gonna start watching Ben 10 after all these years.
Yeah, the animation. I mean, I think he's right. At least in terms of animation wise, the first 3 are really the best animation wise.
And also what he liked is also what he liked is sorry to barge in your words. One thing he also liked is that it was all connected. Yeah, all 3 shows were like sequels. The first one, then Alien Force and Ultimate Alien. That's why he liked it, because they were all connected. And even though like there were some arcs that like they had their own kind of like their own stories, but in some capacity they had elements that were like connected into the main storyline, basically.
Yeah, they did a really good job connecting it all. And they did really good with the continuity, I think, by and large. Yeah, they also, I'm trying to remember. They also did actually well, sort of. So they did 2 live action Ben 10 movies.
I've seen that, even though I never watched them.
Which weren't terrible. They weren't great, but they weren't terrible. They did well with actually like referencing those 2 in the series. And then they also had, let me look and see, they had, I think, 2 animated movies.
Wasn't one in
3
3D?
animated movies. 3 animated movies. And one was CGI.
Yeah, I've seen the trailer and the marketing of that one, like the one that was like 3D.
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't bad. I don't think, I'm trying to remember. I don't think they really, at least the one that was CGI, I don't think that one ever really got referenced in the show. the first one, I'm trying to remember. I'm gonna look real quick. I don't think it ever really got referenced over. I mean, like, it was more self-contained. I'm looking to see really quick. Yeah, it was more self-contained. But they were both good. I mean, animation-wise, they were great.
No, I mean, I believe you for sure. Like, if it's coming directly from your mouth, I believe it. Because after all, you are the expert on this one. But one thing I do remember, which again,
Oh, real quick, I forgot.
yeah,
The person who voices most, if not all, of the aliens in Ben 10, do you know who that is?
well, usually there are like I remember that I remember that most of them have growls. Some of them actually talk.
I'll give you a hint. In another show, he's a platypus.
In another show, he's a what?
He's a platypus.
Platypus. Let's see. It has to be someone who is doing like monster-like voices, definitely.
He's a platypus that fights an evil scientist.
Platypus facing an evil scientist. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is it blue?
The platypus, yeah, the platypus is blue.
Are you talking about Phineas and Ferb?
Yes.
Wait a minute, the platypus. Wait a minute. I know which evil scientist you're talking about now. Well, actually, he's more of a bunker scientist than an evil one. Wait a minute. He voiced. I know. Wait, I know. I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember the name. But I know him. He's been a lot.
Bradley Baker.
Yes. Of course, the master of all monsters and animals, apart from Frank Welker, and not to mention the voice of all clones. Oh my god! Of course, when it comes to aliens or monsters, D. Bradley Baker is your guy.
Of course, I might get a lot of we might get a lot of hate emails for this next thing I'm going to say. So if we do, please direct them to no one. But
Beg your pardon?
If we get any hate emails for what I say next,
okay,
yeah. But so,
go ahead.
The voice actor who voices, I think, the best alien, and I think he voices him. I think he first appears. I'm trying to remember. Alien Force, I think, but he appears then like through Omniverse. Is John DiMaggio? He plays the like orange tiger thing, Wrath, who like is maybe psychotic or something. I don't know. He talks to himself a lot. And he is, for me, that's the funniest alien in that show.
Wow. I mean, again, I can judge it because, like I said, I didn't watch Ben 10, or the things I did watch, I barely remember. So until I watch it, like, I can't actually judge anyway. But even though both of the voice actors are like fucking legends, so no matter which one they choose, I will have no complaint. Even though G. Bradley Baker is more suited for, like, again, like I said, monster type characters than John DiMaggio. No offense to the man himself.
Yeah, I agree. D. Bradley Baker, I mean, he's got quite a range with Ben's aliens.
Yeah, but also, like, the one thing crazy about, like, when you said that platypus from Phineas and Ferb is that even though I did, even though, again, it's not a show that I would love to watch, but when this platypus usually is always silent. Like when you made me wonder, like, D. Bradley Baker is voicing the platypus. I know that because I've seen the Behind the Voice Actors website many years ago. But when does he speak? or growl.
No, he doesn't. I mean, he does like the clicking sound, like with his tongue. But that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the speaking sound, and everything, you can do that with effects because, like, with a character that I remember, this platypus, secret agent type of character, you can literally, basically just do body language with him, honestly, and the facial expressions, and that's, and that's it. But here's one thing I will tell you. Now, one of the things that, again, my friend kind of like throw me into it is, of course, are the villains when it comes to Ben 10, because he told me there are a lot of them that I were gonna like, and there are a few actually I remember. Few of them I remember, like for example the Space Davy Jones, which is basically Vilgax.
Yes.
Yeah, or as like I said, it's the first time I saw him, I was like, oh, Space Davy Jones. Now I do remember him, and he's basically, I think, the main villain of Ben 10.
Yes.
I know that a lot of people say, well, he's not technically like a main villain. He's more like a recurring villain because, like, there are some of the stories that he's not actually involved and everything. But still, a lot of people still see him as the main villain overall of the franchise. That's at least how, they're saying. I remember him. Then I remember that guy who was dressed like a voodoo witch doctor, Hex, I think he was named.
Oh, yeah, Hex, yeah.
Yeah, I remember him. Then there was another villain, a female one. She was a sorceress. Charmcaster, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember her. And the last two I remember are Dr. Animal, him, the crazy scientist, and the last one I remember is Zombozo, the clown.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I know that John Caster voiced him in Ben 10, the first one, and I think later on he was voiced by John DiMaggio, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, Zombozo, if I remember correctly, he's basically a Ben 10 version of Pennywise.
Yes,
because he's basically, is he like, does his abilities have something to do with fear or something?
Yes, although Zombozo, I'm trying to remember.
Although in Alien Force and Ultimate Alien, he looked like really horror type clown.
Yeah. Question. I'm not. I feel like he was. You're right. I think he was more of, at least in Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, and I think the original, he was more of like a horror type clown, but I think he was more of like a magician type clown in Omniverse. They made his design like really, really weird in Omniverse.
I don't like his design in Omniverse. Like he for me personally, he looked ridiculous.
I don't know.
Yeah, but also there are other villains I remember. I remember there was one scientist who was voiced, I think, by Tim Curry.
I'm trying to think.
I figure he, like, the guy had like a scar on his eye or something. I think. And the other thing I remember, weren't they some kind of like knights type of villains as well?
Hang on, let me look and see.
Which I think they were like in either Alien Force or Ultimate Alien. I'm not quite sure.
And then what was the other? Say it again.
So I don't recall the names, but I do remember in Ben 10, I think either Alien Force or Ultimate Alien. I'm not quite sure, but there was a scientist that was voiced by Tim Curry.
Okay, yeah.
And there were like villains. There were like knights, like villains.
Yeah, the Forever Knights. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because those are the last villains I remember from Ben 10 in general.
Yes, they were. So they were I think they were the main villains of the final season of the original Ben 10. And then I also think they weren't villains, but they were kind of like major players in the final season of Ultimate Alien, I think. Yeah, they were the like supporting, I guess, characters in the final season of Ultimate Alien.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of cool characters. I mean, I always thought they were a little bit underused for what they were. And I always thought they were a little confusing, but I liked them.
By the way, it wasn't.
Hang on one sec.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. And a word from our sponsor.
Okie dokie. No. Okie doke.
Also, wasn't there also an episode about Christmas as well?
Yes.
That involved like elves or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think when that was. I kind of have a vague memory of that. I'm trying to think. Let me look that up because I have a vague memory of that.
Because if my memory serves me well, there was a Ben 10 episode. I don't recall in which one, but there was a memory. There was a episode where they were like they went to this like Santa Claus like factory, and there were elves, and then like they chose like Grandpa Max to be like their Santa Claus, and because they didn't have one, I think, or something.
Yeah.
And basically, they were trying to keep him as their Santa Claus.
Yes.
There was something like that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now like I said, I don't really remember in which one.
But I think that was the original one. The first Ben 10 series.
Mm.
Yeah, that was the first Ben 10 series.
That was like I remember seeing that episode like from the beginning to end, and I would say that whole Christmas themed like episode, it kind of creeped me out a little bit because those elves were creepy. The way how they were forcing him to be their Santa Claus, like like because like they were like giving him a seat and milk and cookies and all of that, but then later on you Max, the grandpa, sees that like oh my god, like they're gonna do anything just to keep him there. Yeah, oh my god. Also, help me one thing. Gwen's powers. Is that is that magic or what?
So they didn't really get touched on in the first series, but then Alien Force, so they're sort of magic, but she's also kind of a I'm trying to think what the word is. I guess an energy being called an antidite. But I think a lot of it is magic. It gets a little confusing with the whole antidite thing, but a lot of it is magic.
Okay, because from few of the episodes I've seen when I was years ago that I remember, I always seen Gwen like her eyes will like glow up and will glow, and basically she will like say some like some kind of like enchanting words basically, and activate like either shields or stairs or whatever, and and it kind of sounded like it was magic. So that's why I was asking, was it magic or something else? Because
it was kind of a combo. She was an energy being, and she got a lot of the power for her magic from that. So it was kind of a combo. But a lot of it was magic, though.
I get it. Okay. Now I want to ask you this, like two questions actually. First one, which since it's me being me, of course, who are your favorite villains of Ben 10?
Hold on one sec.
Say to your dog hi.
Cosmo, come on. Cosmo, come on. Here. Come on. Look, here. Come on. Here, look. Hold on one sec.
Yeah, no problem. And we're back to commercials, my followers of darkness. Yeah. If you want to consume all shadows and live for badly ever after, then
Okie
check
doke.
out. Then what?
Okie dokie.
And we're back.
Okie doke.
Yeah. I was kind of doing a commercial for a shadow pill.
Shadow Pet.
Yeah, basically it goes like this. If you want to live miserably, unhappily ever after, if you want to consume the entire world into darkness, then try this shadow pill. Although consequences, I do not take part in it.
And that, folks, is why you don't work with small children or animals.
Exactly. Although, why spoil the fun? So go ahead.
Just kidding, folks. We love dogs here. Don't write us any animal hate mail.
Yeah. Well, eventually. Yeah. I mean, we love all kinds of animals.
Yeah.
Except those bastards rats.
Ooh, yeah, I don't like the rats. Ooh.
Yeah.
Or the possums. The possums, ooh.
Or chihuahuas.
Yeah, chihuahuas. I can take or leave those.
No, I said chihuahuas because, oh my god, they piss me off every time. They get on my nerves.
I do like the Taco Bell one.
What?
I do like the Taco Bell one, though.
Oh,
that dates me. Oh, I'm agitating. LL.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sorry. I'm not bashing everyone who has a chihuahua. Like, everyone has the right to choose whatever dog they want. But personally, for me, I don't. Well, I would say this: I despise them because I had bad experiences with them.
See, all the Taco Bell fans are now going to write you hate mail.
Well, I only have one thing to say: fuck it. Just
Yo
fuck
quiero
it.
Taco Bell.
Ooh, fuck it.
Okay. So
okay, back into the main topic. Yeah.
Okay, so Vilgax for sure. I liked Albedo, who was he was a Galvan, but he tried to make himself an Omnitrix, and when he did, it somehow synced up with Ben's, and he got trapped in a form so he looked like Ben. So he was kind of a cool villain. They didn't really resolve him till the second season of Omniverse, so he was kind of like a reoccurring villain.
Okay.
Who else was there? There was Vilgax, Albedo. I'm trying to think. Vilgax, Albedo. I need to have a third villain.
Again, you can choose from each series you want.
Okay, I'll go with. I like the time traveling guy Eon. He was good. Vilgax, Eon, Albedo. Malware, who was kind of a corrupted version of Ben's alien upgrade. Mm-hmm. He was kind of cool. Ghost Freak. I like Ghost Freak a lot. Ghost Freak was a cool villain. I think that's it.
Well,
how about you from what you remember?
Well, the ones I remember, basically, I'll be very quick about that one. Vilgax, Dr. Animo, Charmcaster, and Zombozo.
Ooh, those are good choices.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Animo and Zombozo are the ones I remember the most. Because first and foremost, I'm a sucker for mad scientists. So Dr. Animo was always kind of like a cool villain to me. Although the later design, like where you can see his brain, instead of a helmet or a head, which I think was like, when did he actually look like that? Where you can see his brain.
I think Omniverse.
No, I think it was like Alien Force or Ultimate Alien.
Actually, it might have been. I'm trying to think. Actually, it might have
because
been,
because in the original he looked like a human.
yeah.
Yeah. So late. I mean, only later on he looked like a, kind of like a mad scientist that came directly from Crash Bandicoot universe.
Yeah, it actually might have been. I'm trying to remember if it might have been Alien Force.
I'll check it out.
Um,
I'll check it out right away. Just give me a second.
Hey, side note, you know
Uh,
who voiced Hex? I never knew this.
wait. Wait. I remember him and his voice as well.
Did he also voice?
Wait a minute. Shit. Well, oh my god, I give up. I have to check it out. Just one moment. Oh, there he is. Kerry Python.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, again, I couldn't remember his name, so I tried to check it out. So let's see. Okay, so original series, yeah. Alien. Oh no, Alien Force. Doctor Animal was all like muscled up, buffed up, with a cape or something. Then Ultimate Alien, he was a human. Oh no, you're right. The Omniverse was where Doctor Animo looked like that. You're right. He was still human when he was like in the original Alien Force or Ultimate Alien. So you're right.
Oh, I forgot about that. He did have a cape, and yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean that's so fucking annoying. I mean, like when they make Doctor Animo cool, it's like in a show that usually the designs are bad, and
Yeah.
his design is cool. Oh my god. Wait, was he always voiced by Jeff Bennett or only later on?
I think only later on, because I think in the first, I'm looking to see. I think at least in the first series he would. I might be wrong. Yeah, in the first series he was voiced by Dwight Schultz.
Mhm.
I'm looking to see how long he voiced him for.
Yeah. Let me try to check.
If I can find. Oh, there we go. Cartoons.
Animo. Yeah. Oh yeah. Dwight Schultz, the guy from A Team.
So it looks like he voiced him through Ultimate Alien. No, it looks like he voiced him. Oh, that's confusing.
Okay. Wait. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So he voiced him. Ben 10. Yeah. In the show, he voiced him. Secret of the Omnitrix. He voiced him in the video games as well. Oh, holy shit. No, he voiced him in the Omnitrix. Oh, no, he voiced him all the time. Jesus, I'm mistaken his voice with Jeff Bennett. Holy shit, they look similar. They sounded similar. Oh my god, no, Dwight Schultz actually voiced him all the time. Wow. I mean, I don't know why I thought he sounded like Jeff Bennett. Yeah, I mean, like beside that, actually, when it comes to Dwight Schultz, even though I don't know if he's still like a professional actor, because I know he was back then, especially when he was in the A Team TV show. But one of my favorite voice roles he did, and it's a small one, but it's in a video game. But I loved him when he voiced Professor Pig in Arkham Knight. No, he was so good. He was so good. It was short, but I love the way how he voiced Professor Pig. I love that. Like, Pig is like clay. Pig is like a god. Pig is here to fix us all.
Speaking of that, I think Yuri Lowenthal in one of the games, I should have mentioned this earlier, or not, and he voiced, I think, in, I guess, the game Marvel Spider-Man. by the one by Insomniac Games. Yuri Lowenthal voiced Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Wait, I mean,
Um,
Dwight Schultz, like he really like he was for me always one of those actors that made a career of himself, in voice acting. I mean, he Dwight Schultz is literally like like Alfred Molina or Jason Isaacs or Wayne Knight, like or even Ron Perlman. Like he's one of those actors that you first start as an actor, and then later on you create a career in voice acting.
yeah, definitely. I'm just looking it up because I know his voice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Forgot. He also voiced Vulture in Spider-Man 2018 game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. He voiced Odin. Yeah. He also voiced Papu Papu in the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy and Onward. What else? Let me see. Yeah, like I said, Professor Pig. Jesus Christ, how many people he voiced in? How many characters he voiced in All Hail King Julian? Oh yeah, he was also in Wolfenstein game. He voiced that crazy scientist, Wilhelm Strass or something.
Let me see real quick.
Yeah. Anyway, like I can go on and on and on, but like overall, like yeah, I mean he also voiced wasn't he also voiced in Ultimate Spider-Man Atuma.
Uh, Let me look.
Yeah, he was the Mad Hatter in
Yeah.
Young Justice. Yeah. I know. I mean, like I said, Dwight Schultz. Oh my God! Look how many characters he voiced them in Chowder.
Oof.
Jesus. Although personally, I don't like that show, but okay. Either way, like anyway, we're getting off the subject, but the point is that he really made a career for himself.
Oh
He
yeah,
really
for
did.
sure.
Yeah. The very first, I mean, the very first thing that he did goes back all the way to 1999, Rugrats. He
Yes.
was like it looks like a pixel like dragon called Greco or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so going back to the question that you asked me, like Vilgax, Charmcaster, Doctor Animo, because I'm a sucker for mad scientists, and also Zombozo, because I'm a sucker for evil clowns. And also, I mean, Vilgax, like he always looked like kind of cool to me as a villain, even though he's basically, when you look at him, he's basically a galactic. Well, yeah, he's basically a galactic warlord who goes around and conquer planets. So, nothing much about it, But I still like him. Although maybe I'm wrong. Okay, maybe I'm wrong on this one, but I've seen across YouTube and some comments, a lot of people, and again, I might be wrong, but I remember seeing that not a lot of people, not a lot of fans of Ben 10 are fans of Vilgax as a villain. I mean, again, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'm just saying from what I've seen, like from different comments and some videos and everything, that for some people he's nothing special as a villain, because he's this galactic warlord who basically goes around and conquers planets.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen that personally, but I mean, I could kind of understand that. He is a little more one-dimensional.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I always liked him, but that is, I don't know. I have to think about that though, because I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, he is a little more one-dimensional.
Yeah, I mean, like even I personally, Even I personally noticed that from like some of the episodes I remember seeing him. Even I noticed that. But one of the things I love about him is first and foremost, like this guy, or this squid alien is actually no joke. Like this guy, he can literally, like when it comes to strength and power, like this guy is like very powerful. That's for sure. And I was always kind of like amused with the rivalry between Ben 10 and him and everything. Like that was always kind of like cute for me because because in every story you must have every hero must have his own arch nemesis. I like that part, how they build it up, that rivalry between them. I like that.
Yeah.
And Charmcaster, I mean, I liked her because I like alongside Zombozo and Dr. Animo, I remember her the most as well. And even though she always kind of looked to me, even though she was always for me kind of like a mixture of Cersei, Enchantress, and Scarlet Witch in a way. But I really like her character, and also wasn't she also, correct me if I'm wrong, but like wasn't she mostly a rival to Gwen than Ben 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought, because like that's one of the things I remember also. Again, just like Ben and Vilgax, you have Charmcaster and Gwen, and their rivalry and everything, so I like that as well.
Yeah, she was more Gwen's villain, but she was a good villain. I mean, she did. I'm trying to remember. I'm just looking.
And one thing I do also remember, wasn't she the apprentice of Hex as well?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. I think she was his niece or something, I think.
I always thought, like, as far as for when it comes to my memories, like I always thought like she was kind of like his apprentice or something.
Yeah, she was a good villain. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that was my first question to you. Now my second question is, and that's because I'm that's usually like when you have a franchise like that, I'm always kind of curious, which show would you pick as your favorite?
That's a good question.
Take your time.
I'm going to say I'd pick. It's a tie between Ultimate Alien and Omniverse for me. I might go with Omniverse because I feel like as it went along, the stories got better and I kind of got more into them. I think I'm going to go with Omniverse.
Okay, fair enough. Now, for me personally, I cannot answer the question because I think I'm not in the. I'm not. I think I'm not. I think I'm not like in this kind of place I can actually answer you which one is my favorite, because again, I never actually 100% like personally experienced those shows, so when I start watching them, then I'll give you an answer. But right now, I can't. Yeah. Although I will say this, the Ultimate Alien and Alien Force, I would at least comment that the animation I like the most.
Yes,
actually.
Yeah, they were the best animation. I mean, like, there's no question about that. They were the best animation.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I can comment. Also, in the in Ben 10's defense, one of the things I do want to praise this show is that, well, the franchise actually is, which is now, which I think is like one of the reasons why it became extremely popular when the first show came out, because it was kind of, I think like Ben 10, I think like maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of like my theory. I think like Ben 10, when they first created it, I think it was like on the same place as Avatar: The Last Airbender was.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory, because like Avatar: The Last Airbender was like a show, at least the way how I see it. It was a show that was kind of like ballsy and too risky in a way, because for a lot of people they thought like this show was like too smart, in a way. But eventually it worked and became very famous. So I think like I always kind of thought like Ben 10 was the same, kind of like
Yeah.
a new like basically kind of like a new thing that came to town, that was like created, like it was also smart but risky and ballsy, like you don't know how people will work, because like usually when studios do an animated project, in this case is usually a franchise that already exists, kind of like kind of like type of like a thing, like a sure thing, like this franchise is very famous, so if we add enough something more, at least we're in the clear. So Ben 10 was completely a completely new thing, which is something that's today is very rare to see. And and then again, sometimes you have to have balls, and sometimes you have to have courage to try something new, and see what happens. You have, sometimes you have to do risky moves. But anyway, for them it works. For Ben 10, it worked and became extremely famous. Now, now in my perspective, like one thing I will say about Ben 10, which I was trying to say at the beginning, that will praise, is the creativity.
Yeah,
I thought, I do agree with a lot of Ben 10 fans that Ben 10 on itself is, for me, was always like very creative, very well, invented, like characters, villains, the mythology around it, even like the world building as well was like really well made. So far, like that's the praises I can give, and and again, I'm glad that they took a chance with Ben 10, and it paid off in the end. It really did. Although I kind of think the 2016 version, the ship started to sink.
Yeah, that one really, they retooled so much of it. I don't really know why they had to do a reboot of the original as it is.
I really don't know.
It didn't really make sense to me. That just made no real sense. I mean, Tara Strong returned as the voice of Ben, but I don't know. It just didn't really make much sense to me.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of like always the problem with me, because instead of like create something new or continue the story, if you have something to tell, I don't know like how Omniverse ended, so maybe it finished the overall story, maybe you can continue or something, I don't know. But the point is that instead of continuing the story or create something new, like basically what the writers in the studio did, basically, I'm sorry, if I'm gonna offend them, but that's a very lazy move. Basically, well, you know what, we're not gonna do any new shit, hey, tell you what, we're gonna reboot the old thing. Yeah, we're gonna reboot Ben 10 all over again. And I'm like, why would you do that? That's not simply with Ben 10, but like with every other project that they do a reboot. Why would you do that? Instead of like expanding.
I wish they'd continued Omniverse. I don't know why they didn't do that.
I'm not familiar with the ratings, so
I don't know. That never made sense to me. Why they rebooted instead of just doing a straight up continuation.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, like, usually when storytellers or studios in this case, when they do a reboot, usually it's like at that time when, like, usually storytellers or the group of writers or whatever you want to call it, they run out of ideas. Usually, like, a reboot happens when you run out of ideas, when, like, you're literally dried up, out of like stories, out of like new ideas or whatever. And instead of like instead of trying to take your time and create something new or continue, like you said, you know what? Let's do the reboot. Let's do a reboot of Ben 10 all over again. And I'm like, dude, like, why? Like, they like I mean, I don't think people or Ben 10 fans, I don't think they will mind if they taken a little bit of their time off of Ben 10, until like the new ideas come up, until like they create something new, or an idea how to expand the story or the overall universe of Ben 10 itself. I mean, I'm sure the Ben 10 fans wouldn't mind if they take like a little bit of time off. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of wish they'd done that because Omniverse, they left in a good place that they could have actually theoretically continued it at some point someday. So I kind of wish they had taken time off and then come back and done a continuation of that. Because I think that would have been better.
Actually, what
I feel like
Sorry.
if they were going to go back and do it now, I feel like because the other Ben 10 series were were close enough together that they could kind of like bank off and continue off each other. So I think it would be, I mean, in theory, they could go back and do more Omniverse now, but I don't know if it would be as good or not because of how much time there's been since Omniverse itself. I mean, it might get a good reception. People might tune into it, but I feel like I said, the other shows were so close together, that it kind of worked a little better. I think. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, look, how long it's been since Omniverse stopped?
Let me look. Omniverse stopped in 2014.
Oh, I think it's too late. I mean, so basically, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
Since they finished. Like, no, no, it's too long. Like, if you try to continue now, I mean, okay, maybe it worked with Clone Wars season 7, but with something like Omniverse, I think like the excitement, I think it just simply disappeared.
Yeah.
I think like people won't be hyped maybe like they would have been like 10 years ago if they just simply continued. But actually, here's the thing. I wouldn't even mind. Now, that's an idea. I wouldn't even mind because I think that would have much more. I think that would have been much more better than doing a reboot. I wouldn't even mind if they decide to do an animated TV show of Ben 10, and again, it connects like all the shows till Omniverse. But this time, you do a TV show where all of them are adults.
Well, they were talking about that would be a cool.
Now, I'm not talking like 50s or 40s. I'm talking like late 20s to mid 30s, basically. Like they're like young adults, basically. Let's put it that way. But they would have been like young adults and already kind of like going on with their lives. Maybe like in a relationship, or maybe like Gwen maybe starting a family or something. I don't know. The point is that would and also Max, Grandpa Max, he passed away like a few years ago or something, and they kind of like you could kind of like talk about his memories or like or something. I don't know. I'm just kind of like dropping ideas right now, but the point is that if they decide, let's do a Ben 10 when all of them are adults, like Ben, Gwen, Kevin, and all the rest, like they're adults. Maybe we can bring some villains like returning to the show, and we bring like a bunch of new villains in it as well, and some kind of like extension of like the Omnitrix mythology or something. I'm just kind of again throwing ideas. That would have been. I'm telling you, maybe some people will complain because they're adults, but trust me, that would have been much more better and worked way better than doing a reboot.
Well, they had talked about back in 2021, and I don't know if they're still kicking this idea around, but they talked about doing like a Gwen 10 spinoff. And like they were going to work with a Japanese anime company to develop the series.
Really?
And it would be Gwen without any Ben. She'd still have like Kevin 11 as her boyfriend. I don't know. I mean, that would be. I don't know. I don't mind that idea. I think it could work. I think they'd really have had to work on the stories with that and make sure they're strong enough. But I think that show could work. I mean, like I said, it would take a big risk cutting out essentially their main character. But that's something I think could work. I mean, because it would be different enough that I think it would get people interested. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, doing it as an anime and also doing a Gwen, as you said, Gwen 10 spin-off. Personally, I wouldn't mind. And doing it as an anime, I think like that would be, for me personally, very challenging in a way. But at the same time, a very fascinating thing to do. Like, you know, I mean, I wouldn't mind see a Gwen 10, as you put it, anime like style TV series. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And also, you know, like. Again, that's kind of actually connects to the story, to the kind of like story of the idea I had when they're adults.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like because, for example, then I'm gonna try to connect it with mine as well. So basically, they do a Gwen 10 anime type, like, you know, TV show. Let's just say they do. So basically, you can now what age Gwen could be. Now, for me personally, if she is out of Ben 10. You can easily put that, you know, why he's not there. Let's just say that they split up. Okay. Let's just say they went separate ways, you know, or maybe a battle or some kind basically divided them or something, you know, like, you know, or the worst comes to worst. And again, of course, that's not going to happen, but you can even say Ben 10 died. I mean, again, I say worst comes to worst, you know, you can say Ben died. You know, in an accident, well, not an accident, but like in battle or something. You know.
Well, the question is, how dark and mature do you want to go with this? Because I'm gonna give you a meter, which is the only thing I have a reference for. Would you go as dark and like as mature as like Velma?
Oh no, not like that.
Okay.
And please do not mention that abomination. I would literally punch those people in the face for doing that. They have butchered all the Scooby-Doo characters. They butchered them. Especially what they did with the Hex Girls. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, they you know,
they butchered them.
I love whenever they do revival. I love whenever they do stuff like this, like they do new iterations. But like, I think they might have been actually, which would be kind of appropriate for Mystery Inc. But I think they were actually kind of high whenever they wrote the show.
Very high. They were either high or someone pointing a gun on their head for them to do it. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, seriously, like the way how they did Daphne, Fred, Shaggy, and also not having Scooby-Doo in it. I'm like, how can you have a Scooby-Doo project without Scooby-Doo, the main character? I know Velma is the main character, but seriously, you know,
especially because the best Scooby-Doo show, at least of the past, I'd say 20 years, was Mystery Inc.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Incorporated. That's like one of the best Scooby-Doo TV shows I've ever seen. And what I appreciate about that show is that they went dark.
Yes, and they also had a good overarching story that like connected everything. Mm-hmm. The voice actors were pretty much the same as they've always been. The animation was a tiny bit different at the beginning, I thought, but you get used to it like the second episode. The only thing about that show, and we'll get back to Ben 10 in a sec, but the only thing about that show that I wish that they had kept, and I wish that they had not scrapped early on, I wish they'd kept more of Shaggy and Velma dating, because I like that element. I thought it was something that, even in the original Scooby-Doo show, that like was a big missed opportunity. And I think that they should have let that stay longer or pick that back up later in the show.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I thought that was probably of all the Scooby-Doo shows over the past 20 years or so, that's the definitive one.
Yeah, I mean, like Professor Pericles was like my favorite villain in that show. Like Udo Kier, like who voiced him, did such an amazing job with that character. And one of the things I love about that show is the overall mythology of Mystery Incorporated. Like they were like basically showing other like like basically showing from the very beginning, like there were like so many different Mystery Inc. Like teams across like centuries, and I was like, oh my god, I love that. I
And I
love
also
that.
think that was the first show where Matthew Lillard actually took over from Casey Kasem.
Yes.
And that was another thing too, is at first I wasn't sure how well that was going to go. I mean, I know he did well in the live action movies, but I
was the
wasn't
best
sure how
part.
well it was going to translate. I thought Matthew Lillard actually did a pretty good Shaggy.
Oh no. Don't get me wrong. Matthew Lillard, like at first when I was first watching the show, because I was got used to like like everyone else with Casey Kasem as Shaggy, and when I watched that show, I was like, wait a minute, that's not Casey Kasem. Like that's not him. Like who the hell is voicing him? And then I tried to check, and I seen, oh my god, Matthew Lillard is voicing him. And then I watched like go further and further. I was like, it was like, it's kind of like growing on me. I like this version of Shaggy. And then I later realized that Shaggy's father was voiced by Casey Kasem.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like they basically switched roles in a way. But I also, and so in the end, I embraced Matthew Lillard. I also think he did a great Shaggy, impersonation in a way. And I think if Casey Kasem was still alive today, I think like he I think like he would have been proud of him for what he did with Shaggy, And personally, I think that show gave a really decent send off to Casey Kasem's, as a voice actor, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, what was your idea for Ben 10?
Okay. So now, so tell me. So you asked me, would Gwen 10 be dark as Velma?
Yes.
Or what?
Yeah. Would it be as dark and like as mature? I guess. Actually, I'll say as mature.
Okay. That dark and mature, like that abomination Velma? No. I think that would have been too much. Way too much. And I think like only then, I think like Ben 10 fans will basically rebel. They went too far. But again, the darker tone and serious tone doesn't hurt, because Alien Force and Ultimate Alien had that. It was because you had to admit it was way more mature, or a little, or should I say, a little bit more mature than Ben 10, like the first one. So the darker tone and the mature tone, I would keep that. Definitely. Like even like some of the serious elements as well. I mean, like Ben 10 was basically Ben 10. Ben was usually the character who was like kind of like a comic relief main character, So, and Gwen was kind of like, well, when she was a child, she was like also goofy as him, but after that, she became a little bit more serious. So the only way I think this could work, like again, you can have Gwen, you can have Kevin, but again, those are two serious characters. So you need to have someone who is like a comic relief in that team.
Yeah.
So basically, so again, you need a third party. So again, the darker tone, mature tone, that could work. Again, not too dark, not too mature, and not like violent, not like that. But with all that, you still need a humor element in it.
Yes.
And I think the only way it could possibly work is that if you add a new character that's kind of like a comic relief, that kind of like basically replaces Ben in a way.
So like I'm trying to think who they could do.
It could be easily a new character, by the way.
That would be a cool idea.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, I mean, I'm trying to think. So,
I mean that's your idea. I was just answering the question you asked me.
Okay. I had a thought, but I lost it. I'll think of it. Continue. I'll think of it eventually.
Okay. So basically, now my idea, what I had in mind was, like I said, you can have a Ben 10 TV show that is basically, like many years later. Like how old were they in Omniverse?
Omniverse, I'm gonna say 17.
Okay, okay then. So let's say 20 years later,
Okay.
when they're like in their 30s, let's put it that way. Because I still think like them as an adult, as adults, I think like that actually would work. Now, my story, what I would have, how I would have done it, basically, that kind of actually connects with like the idea you had, basically, uh, is that like you have like 20 years later, all the all the threats, all the battles, everything they had is gone, and Ben basically he didn't use the Omnitrix like all this 20 years, because basically after they defeated everything, basically they, you could kind of say, they retired. They retired, and also they went separate ways. Ben basically living his own life, Gwen and Kevin living their own lives. And also in my story, Gwen and Kevin would have been married, and they kind of
Ooh,
like
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah, they would have been married, and they have children.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Ben, even though he is older, I still kind of always depict him to be single, kind of like living his own life in a way. I mean, I'm not saying he's poor or anything. No, like he still has, he found a job, he has money, he lives his own life and everything, like a normal like life as a civilian, basically. And also the world around them evolved, basically. you know Kind of like because I think that would be a very curious element that you can add to the story, like basically like they try to live in the time where they are now. you know
Yeah.
Kind of like, yeah, kind of like things they weren't like they were back before, kind of like that kind of element. Anyway, so basically, like I said, you can have some villains returning, you know but you have to be very specific which ones. Like, for example, you can have an adult version of Charmcaster returning, basically. you know Saying, basically. And now this idea kind of sparked right now in my head. You can make Charmcaster kind of like like a show businesswoman.
Hmm.
Kind of like uh having a company or something that has to do like with magic, basically. you know and she also has a life on her own, but basically, and you see her kind of like again with like this kind of like purple suit, kind of like a businesswoman. And then like in the shadows, she's still like Charmcaster, kind of like creating her own magical
Ooh,
criminal empire, let's just put it that way.
I like that.
Yeah, so basically you have some villains returning, some of them who can actually fit in this world. But also there are new threats arising. Some of them like on Earth, and some of them from the other parts of the galaxy. And this time you can add a new villain that is like more powerful and dangerous than Vilgax. You know, kind of like and this time we're talking like not just because Vilgax is basically kind of like Kang the Conqueror was for Marvel, in a way. But this time we're talking like Darkseid Thanos level threat, or even Galactus level threat, or just for you, Mephisto level threat.
Mephisto.
Now, which I think will be much more appropriate for like Earth than the in the galaxy. But you get my point. There's a new villain. There's a new like threat coming, and basically, at first you can kind of start slowly building. Kind of like they're living their normal lives, kind of like talking about the good old days and everything, and kind of like Ben missing those like days of glory, kind of like taking the Omnitrix, becoming a monster and thing like that. Because one of my ideas I have in my mind is basically you see him like on a cupboard or something, the Omnitrix, like in a kind of like a glass, like what's the word?
Like display.
Yes, thank you. Kind of like in a glass display that he has home. But again, not for everyone to see it, but like secret. Kind of like a secret chamber or something. That he built or something. Because throughout the years, in my ideas, he became basically on the same on the same level when it comes to intelligence as his grandfather.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, kind of like in kind of like an inheritance thing. So that so again, to kind of like cut the story short, basically you start slowly, kind of like building, kind of like showing where they're living now, and then
Yeah.
later on they have no choice because of some certain events that happened, brings them together once again, to fight this threat. Now, usually when it comes to this threat, you can either connect it to Vilgax or you can create something new. I will rather go with something new. It has nothing to do with everything that was in the past. So, and also now in this version, I will make this show just like yours. I will make it more mature. Like not that much like childish like Ben 10 the first one was, or maybe even Alien Force or Ultimate Alien. I will make it much more serious, with a little bit more darker tone, but still like getting that humor, still keeping that around. But overall, that is basically my idea.
Okay, I like that. I like that idea.
Now I know usually when heroes split up, usually there's like a very sad, tragic situation why they split up. Now in my version, there won't be any of that. They just simply we cleaned the world, we saved the galaxy, we can retire now.
Yeah, see, there are ways that they can. There are ways that they can write Ben off without like killing him off. So I mean, it's. I'm trying to think the word I'm looking for. It wouldn't be too hard to like sort of move on from Ben. I don't know. I mean, I kind of hope that they do go back and like sort of do that, because I don't know. I think that could be a cool series.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like both our series can actually work, both of them. Even though I think like your idea for like an anime type like Gwen 10 story, which I think like that will be much more challenging than, for example, mine, because like we never seen an anime type Ben 10 project.
No, which would be cool if they can do it and pull it off. That would be a really cool one.
Definitely. So again, seriously, we could. Seriously, if Men of Action basically here on our live stream our ideas, like literally, like literally, I will go there and say, look, man, we will do anything. Just please stop that 2016 abomination. Yeah. Stop it.
Oh, now hold on. If Man of Action actually would be watching, we should ask him for $1 million each.
What's it called? Like first half before, and then the last half later on.
Yeah.
So basically $2 million each.
Yeah. Hey, that made me think. I think I'm running out of Ben 10 stuff that I know about. But I do want to circle back and talk about something we were talking about last week.
One more question, and then we will go back. Which you wanted to ask me, but don't forget what you're trying to ask me, because there's just one small information that I've heard for a couple of years now. I think like you heard they wanted to do a new Ben 10 live action movie. Yeah, and if there was some stories going around that we're trying to do with Tom Holland as Ben. I think. And now my question was, okay, let's just say that Ben 10 live action happens and Tom Holland is cast as Ben. Would you see him as Ben?
I think I could. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's eventually going to reach an age, I think, where he can't play younger anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think he's reached that age quite yet. I think he could still pull it off. I mean, I think he would be a very big. Hang on one sec. Okay, doke. I think he would be a pretty big get for Ben 10. I mean, like if they could get him, I think he would be a really big. It'd be a big deal. I'm not entirely sure that would be the kind of project he'd go for. It might be.
I mean, I heard some comments that Tom Holland mentioned that he would actually be interested to do it.
But I mean, if if they signed him and if he was cast and everything, I mean, I could see him as Ben 10.
You know who I can see as his grandfather?
Who?
Maybe you'll disagree. John Goodman.
You know what? I could see that.
I don't know, like the pictures I have of the grandfather in my mind right now. I mean, I could see John Goodman as the grandfather Max.
The only thing I would say is, I mean, John Goodman could work, but he has lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's true.
So that would be the only thing. I mean, now I will tell you, know who played Grandpa Max in the 2 live action Ben 10 movies?
Yeah.
And the one Barry Corbin did, who I'm trying to think. You might not know him. Did you ever watch that show on Netflix, The Ranch?
Sadly, no.
Okay, that's a show you ought to go back and watch because it's hilarious. Sam, what's his name? Mustache. What's his name? Sam Elliott is in it.
Wow.
Danny Masterson and Ashton Kutcher. Now I should say Danny Masterson's only in it for the first like 3 seasons because I think we all know what happened with him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go too much into detail, but he is basically sitting in prison right now, and he probably.
Yeah.
But anyhow, Barry Corbin plays a kind of a funny like foil for Sam Elliott's character on that show. But then the other guy, you'll probably recognize this name, who played Grandpa Max in the first movie, was Lee Majors.
Lee Majors,
who was also in the popular TV show The Unknown Stuntman. Or no, not The Unknown Stuntman, The Fall Guy.
Let me just check. Oh, yeah. I know this guy. Yeah, I have his picture right here on my phone. Yeah. I know this guy.
But thinking about it, though, I mean, you know, John Goodman could work as Grandpa Max. I mean, because Lee Majors isn't really all that hefty. I mean, he worked. I mean, I think John Goodman actually would be a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I think like the age that John Goodman is right now, I think like he will actually fit.
Yeah,
as Grandpa Max.
What about Kevin and Gwen?
Ooh, Gwen. Now, here's the thing. Now, if you're gonna start Ben 10 from the beginning, then definitely Gwen and Ben would have been like much younger actors than what Tom Holland is. So let's just say that Tom Holland's Ben 10 would have been like Alien Force and Ultimate Alien. That timeline. Ooh, Gwen and Kevin. Ooh, that's tricky. I mean, they will definitely be like in their 20s. Definitely. I don't know. It's tricky. It's really tricky. Who would you pick?
You know who I'd almost pick as Gwen? I mean,
Who?
she'd have to dye her hair for the role, but I'd almost pick Haley Steinfeld.
Really?
Yeah, I could almost see her.
Huh. Let me check like who she is because I'm kind of bad with names. So Haley, what was they say the name was?
Steinfeld. Steinfeld.
Wait. Haley Steinfeld. Oh, ooh, I can see her as Gwen. I can see her. You know, actually, who I can see also as Gwen? Maybe we'll be in a disagreement, but actually, like first thing came to mind. Well, actually, second that came to mind. Maybe we'll disagree. Millie Bobby Brown.
You know what? I could see that.
You could?
Yeah.
I mean, she's actually 20. She's not actually like more than 20, but like I can see her play Gwen, honestly.
Well, depending on how old they would go with them.
Yeah, true.
I mean, if they were going like 30s or like even older, like depending on how old they go with them, you know who else I could see playing an older Gwen?
Who?
Lindsay Lohan.
Okay, fair enough. Who would you pick as Kevin?
Hmm.
Because for him, I have no clue. Who?
Yeah, he's harder. I don't know who I'd pick for him. I mean,
If he here's the thing, yeah, you know, he's tough to pick.
I'm trying to picture actors who would be.
Mm. Let me try to check to see actors in their 20s to see who can, because also the actor who plays Kevin, he needs to be a little buffed up. Now let's see. It's difficult.
You know, depending on how old they made Ben, Kevin, and Gwen, like if they did like a Ben 10,000 kind of thing, you know who else I could see as Ben?
Who?
I mean, he'd have to be like a young adult. I mean, he'd have to be like 30s. John Krasinski.
Oh wow. Yeah, if they do like a Ben 10 in his 30s or something, yeah, I can see him. John Krasinski playing him. What about? Can I ask a question? Would you see? Again, maybe not, but like, would you see this actor playing Kevin? I don't know, because when I see him, he kind of looks like him, even though he's. Well, let me just check. Just a moment. Just a moment. Okay, he's 33, but he looks young. Could you see Austin Butler as Kevin?
Butler. Oh, Elvis. I could kind of see that.
Would you see him as Kevin?
Yeah, I could see him as Kevin.
I know he's 33, but you know he still looks young. So
I could see that. I'm looking to see if he might. Maybe Matthew Underwood. Well,
I mean, again, like I said,
maybe
I mean,
Matthew Underwood.
But again, like for Tom Holland as Ben, I can definitely see him.
I could definitely see
that
Tom
role.
Holland as Ben.
Even though I've seen a lot of people saying, like, you know, that's actually a bad idea, because whenever he appears, he will basically be Spider-Man for a lot of people, playing Peter Parker.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, the problem is he's essentially typecast as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like I remember we saw, what was the movie that came out like after No Way Home? Uncharted. Yeah, which was fantastic. But I mean, even in that movie, like even like how he was like fighting and stuff in that movie, like it was almost like Spider-Man, like it was almost like Spider-Man like 3.5.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
And I mean, I kind of feel a little bit bad for him, because I mean, no matter what he does, even if it's something serious, you're always going to kind of see him as Peter Parker.
Yeah,
there
I
was
agree.
one movie though he did that was more serious.
Was that one with Robert Pattinson?
And I think he had longer hair in the movie too. I'm looking to see.
I think it was the movie where I don't really recall what's the name, but like I know that I think Robert Pattinson was in it.
I know the first movie I ever saw him in was In the Heart of the Sea, which was a fantastic movie.
Oh my god! Like, wait, Heart of the Sea, was that with Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Oh my god, how old he was there?
Oh boy. Cherry. I think that's Cherry. I think that was the name.
Sheesh.
Was Cherry? Yeah, I think Cherry was the movie I'm thinking of.
Anyway, I wanted to ask you now. Here's the thing. Now, like, here's the thing. If you want to start, if you want to give us a Ben 10 live action, I think like if they want to do it again for like the big screen this time, like if they want to do it, I think like they have to start from the beginning, when he got the Omnitrix, basically how he got him in the first time. That's at least, because I think like, you know, because if you think like if you start like with Tom Holland, it's basically kind of like, you know, you're starting with Ben 10, like Alien Force, basically. You know, without kind of explaining the beginning.
The only concern I would have with Ben 10 doing a live action movie on the big screen, so the two live action movies for Ben 10 I think worked as well as they did because they were made for TV. The concern I would have with doing a movie on the big screen is, I mean, I think this is why the casting in it would have to be like really, really strong. Is
Mm.
I could see it almost going the way of Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh no! I don't think it's gonna go that bad.
I mean, like they would have to have a really strong cast.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, and again,
And I mean, I think I think Tom Holland would be their best bet.
if they're gonna go like in a Alien Force
Yeah,
Ultimate Alien
yeah.
direction.
I think personally, if they're gonna do a live action Ben 10, they need to go like take from like Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, and even Omniverse. I think
Yeah.
those are probably where they need to trend it, because I think they need to trend it a little more to the like superhero crowd, the Marvel crowd.
Yeah. I
And I
mean,
think they can. I think they could. Um, and I also think if they're gonna do that, and if they're gonna do like the aliens, like for his transformations, I think the best way they can do that, at least for me, is I think they ought to do them CGI and have D. Bradley Baker as them, because I think that, and Dragon Ball Evolution kind of did this, but they even botched this, which I don't understand how the hell they could botch this. But they had Christopher Sabat back as the voice of Shenron, or as they called him in the English, they called him in the U.S. release Shenlong, which isn't even right because that's what he is in the Japanese version.
yeah.
So, but they had Christopher Sabat back, who was like a carryover from the anime show, and that kind of like, for me, seeing that kind of like gave me a little bit of comfort, although he didn't have any speaking lines or anything, which he should have.
No, he just simply.
So they botched that too completely.
Yeah.
But I think that D. Bradley Baker, having him back as like the aliens, would sort of like, he'd kind of be like the anchor a little bit and like draw more people in. Kind of also,
I mean,
like, did you ever see Christopher Robin?
You mean with Ewan McGregor?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen it a couple of times. Yeah. I love that movie.
So, kind of how they had Jim Cummings back in that movie as Pooh and Tigger.
Oh yes,
which I thought was really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Now I will say that movie for me, it was good, but it was supposed to be sort of a adaptation, I think, of the cartoon Winnie the Pooh that was on the Disney Channel. And what I feel like they botched in that was the voices for the rest Pooh, or the rest of the characters, Rabbit, Owl, and all of them. They made them British.
Well, actually, no. Actually, well, with the exception of Eeyore, because that was Brett Garrett voicing him.
Yeah, and by the way, Eeyore, in the original Disney version, on the TV show, that's also Optimus Prime.
Yeah, I know that was Peter Cullen. Yeah. I know that.
But that was my only criticism of that movie, is they made them British as opposed to American.
I mean, the thing is that
Disney made them American when they were British, I think. So, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. That was my only complaint though with it, but I liked it other than that.
Yeah, I mean, like the Rabbit was voiced by Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
Owl was voiced by I always forget his name, who played Zola in Marvel.
Yeah.
He was voiced by him. Let's see. Piglet was voiced by. Oh shit! Who voiced Piglet? Let me check. Just a moment. Let me check.
Did they want? I'm trying to
remember. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. Nick Mohammed. Nick Mohammed voiced Piglet.
Yes.
Rabbit Peter Capaldi. Sophie Okonedo voiced Kanga, which I think is the mother. And Toby Jones. That's his name.
Yes.
Toby Jones voiced Owl. Now the thing is, here's the thing. I think their main target was to just simply bring in Jim Cummings as Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
because I thought like his voice is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Like he is Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. And that was a
And then like
genius
the rest of, excuse me.
that was a genius move for them to do that.
Oh yeah, very genius move. I mean, when I did Christopher Robin, like when I saw the trailer, like the very first one when Winnie the Pooh appeared, like what to do indeed, I was like, oh my god, like I was like, oh my god, who's gonna choose as the voice of Winnie the Pooh? And then immediately when he said what to do indeed, and then Christopher Robin, I was like, oh shit, that's Jim Cummings.
You know what's funny about Jim Cummings?
What?
And this is something I was told by what Jim Cummings in The Lion King, whenever on Be Prepared.
Oh yeah,
Jeremy Irons blew out his like vocal cords. What are you saying? You won't get a sniff without me?
Yep.
And then Jim Cummings had to finish the rest of the song. That is so surprising that is Jim Cummings on the rest. Like, you wouldn't think Winnie the Pooh, and then Scar. Like, you wouldn't think he'd be a Scar villain. You like, I can't even hear that.
I mean, honestly,
what I wonder is how in the hell the directors of that movie, whenever Jeremy Irons blew out his vocal cords, thought to themselves, "Huh, Jim Cummings." Like, I wonder how on earth his
I don't know
even came up.
I don't know. I really don't, because but the one thing is, Jeremy Irons actually, he did mention sometimes that one of the not finishing the Be Prepared song is like a big like regret for him, because because like he really went over the top when he was like, you won't get a sniff without me. That like he basically shouted so strong, so loudly that basically he like you said, he blew off his vocal cords.
Yeah.
And and again, he was sad he couldn't finish it, because seriously, at the end of the song was like very short, basically, where he stopped. And even Jim Cummings was like, that Jim Cummings has his own podcast.
Really?
Yeah. Tuned in or tuned up or something. Like, I follow him on YouTube channel on YouTube. It's really funny. It's a really funny like podcast. You should really give it a watch. Basically, he talks like with like some actors and mostly voice actors. It's really fun. It's a really fun podcast. Anyway, I remember like even Jim Cummings mentioned like briefly that that he was kind of like sad that he had to finish it. But the thing is, some people thought like, oh my god, he really sounded like Jeremy Irons. Maybe that is Jeremy Irons. But like, I heard Jim Cummings' voice like over so many years that I kind of every time I recognize him when he's voicing someone. So when I heard that, from the, like, be prepared for the cool of the century, be prepared for the murkiest scum. When he does that, there are a few moments in that tone, in that singing, where like some tones you recognize, like that's his voice. There are some moments you can recognize, like, yep, that's Jim Cummings. And again, the same thing. Him is voicing Winnie the Pooh, but he also voices Pete.
Yeah.
Big difference. Or even Darkwing Duck or Bonkers.
But all this Winnie the Pooh stuff, like, so getting back to Ben 10, my thought, like, having D. Bradley Baker back as the voice of the aliens.
Yeah.
It would just, I think, give more of a sense of like continuity and more like of a comfort. I mean, I think Ben 10 could work on the big screen, but like I said, I mean, you'd have to have a really strong cast. I mean, and I think, like I said, you'd probably want to lean into, instead of starting at the beginning, you probably want to lean into the more like mature shows.
But honestly, here's the thing: there are some like famous child actors out there as well. So even if they start Ben 10 with like when he was like 15, or he was like 15 in Ben 10, the original one.
The original, he was 10.
Thank you. Okay, so he was 10. So you can easily cast a child that is like 14, 15 years old to play Ben 10. If you want to start from the beginning, because I think like if you want to do a Ben 10 movie, I think you have to start from the beginning, basically. And also, even like when it comes to villains, like don't go directly to Vilgax.
Yeah, the problem I'd have with Vilgax is he would probably see, they would have to be very careful with Vilgax because I think a lot of people could compare him to Thanos.
Yeah.
And that would be the only concern I would have with him is people might not like the movie as much because they'll see too many similarities with Thanos, and I don't know, it just might be boring a little bit. I'd go with different villains. I'd go with the Forever Knight.
I would go even like if you want to start small, if you want to start like with him as a child. Well, he's technically the whole time a child, but like if you want to start like when he's very young, I wouldn't go as far as say that maybe the first villain should be someone like Doctor Animal or Zombozo.
Ooh, those would be good choices too.
Yeah, because like when you building, the thing is, the trick is when you're building a hero, you have to start small, and then like if it's a success, you continue with like much more bigger and bigger threats, and eventually you can lead to Vilgax.
You know who else I could see? Actually, no, I could actually see him as Dr. Animal, maybe. It just popped into my head. Darren Norris.
I could actually see him as well.
Because you'd have to get somebody with like who could do like a good character voice for that.
Mm.
And Darren Norris, I think, could pull that off.
Yeah, I mean, like again, I do agree. I can actually see him as Dr. Animal for sure, but also again, so far like it looks like that the live action Ben 10 movie, as far as the last time I heard of it, it's scrapped. Like they're not continuing with it and everything. Even though for me personally, I kind of still think it's a good thing they didn't go further with that. Even though I could see Tom Holland as an older Ben, that's for sure. But overall, like the I think like also one of the main keys is like if you have a good story, and also if you have a good crew behind, like who actually are familiar with the source material,
Yes.
because
that's if they take direction from the actual creator too.
Exactly. Like you can have him there as kind of like an advisor or something.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do this. No, you can do that. Maybe you can add this. Maybe you can add that. Like for example, my closest example I would have, if you have the good people on board who know the source material, who actually love the source material, like for example, Jeff Fowler and the crew behind Sonic, because every movie they did, all the both movies they did, even like the third one from the trailers, you can see they were done with love. The people who actually know this franchise. So again, you need to have, I think, people who are familiar with the franchise or they love the actual franchise.
And I think that is, I know I could go back to this, but that's why, especially getting input from the creator. That's why I think Dragon Ball didn't work so well, because you had Toriyama there sitting in the chair there saying, "Hey guys, this movie's garbage. It's not going to work."
Why do you think he went writing Dragon Ball Super?
Yeah,
because he didn't want his legacy to be tarnished.
Yeah.
I mean, he felt like, okay, I did Dragon Ball Z. That's it. We're done. I'm done with Dragon Ball. I'm going to do something else, that's it. Okay, goodbye. And then comes Dragon Ball Evolution. Fucks everything up.
Yep.
And basically, oh shit, I have to go back to Dragon Ball again. Oh God, what I have to do, oh fuck it. I'm going to just continue the story from Dragon Ball Z after. Yeah. And there goes Dragon Ball Super. I mean,
a lot of people, I remember at first Dragon Ball Z Kai, I wasn't crazy. Like, because it's essentially a retelling of like the original Dragon Ball Z. And so at first I was kind of like, why do we need this? But then like hearing the voices and stuff, I kind of actually liked, I thought the voices, at least in the American version, sounded a lot better. I thought the dialogue sounded better. I liked it a lot better. The music is the only thing that I wish they'd kept Bruce Falconer, because I thought he was head and shoulders above what they have now. But aside from that, I really like Dragon Ball Z Kai.
And also speaking of which, now they're doing the same thing with One Piece, but instead of like Dragon Ball Z Kai, One Piece is going to be called The One Piece. I'm not kidding.
You know what I'd like to see them do? I'm curious. I just thought about this. I've run out of Ben 10 things, so I need to circle back to Dragon Ball because I thought about this.
So that was your question that you wanted to ask me, like from way before.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
But actually, I have two more. So here's the first one: is do you think they should do like a Dragon Ball Kai,
Wait, you mean Dragon Ball Kai in what way?
like a retelling of Dragon Ball itself from the beginning, like without the
Mm,
filler and stuff? Dragon Ball, the Red Ribbon Saga,
uh, I
King
don't know.
Piccolo.
I don't know really, because I have all really great like fond memories of Dragon Ball, the original one. Uh, I don't know, like I don't know because like I think like because, that's one of the reasons why I don't like Dragon Ball Kai because it's way too polished, and they also tone down the violence, you know, and there's all sorts of things in Dragon Ball that they will also if they do a Dragon Ball Kai, there's a lot of things they will tone down for
Yeah.
sure. Like for
Well,
example, like the biggest example, and you and I think like you know which one I'm talking about. Let me describe it: nosebleed, shock,
Yep.
dresses up.
Yep.
That scene will be cut off like that.
Yeah.
Immediately. You know, like basically like that scene, blood, the nose bleeding, shock, dress up, knickers down. That scene would have been cut off immediately, even though in the actual manga, Akira Toriyama actually did that.
The only thing I would say though about doing a Dragon Ball is, I mean, at least Yamcha would get a little more love in that.
True, that's true. Yeah,
Hashtag poor Yamcha.
true. Yeah, but you know what? You know, actually, what I would love to see. I mean, and I there's another project that Akira Toriyama did, and I think when I said the name, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. But like, I think that show, that anime and manga, I think it will work as live action because it's very simple, very comedy centric, and that is Doctor Slump.
Ooh.
I'm telling.
Didn't they have a crossover with that in Super?
Oh, yes, they did. They did it in Super. They had in the '90s version of Doctor Slump with the Kid Goku, and I think one more time during the original Dragon Ball, I think. But the thing is, yeah, and I think Doctor Slump, out of all of them, I think that's the one. I think I think they wouldn't miss doing a live action version because it's literally because it's literally a comedy anime, literally with like very brief action packed scenes.
I could see that.
You know,
Yeah,
maybe okay, maybe the perversion of Senbei Norimaki, the mad scientist who created Arale, maybe his perversion would have been toned down a bit. You know, although personally, I would have kept the see-through goggles. I would have kept that because that's so hilarious. When it's basically, I don't know if you how much did you watch Doctor Slump?
Not too much.
Okay, go ahead.
I could see that though. I mean,
it's basically comedy. It's basically comedy.
See, that could work then.
Yeah, and again, here's the thing: Doctor Slump is basically comedy, and it's a literally bonkers world that basically says Akira Toriyama's like imagination that is unleashed, literally, and it's a type of and first of all, it would have been a movie that you're definitely gonna turn off your logic and physics and everything, you know, because it's like a completely, absolutely bonkers, you know, and honestly, when it comes to Arale, I mean, you can literally cast any child you want.
Now,
because my only problem is if you're gonna do a Doctor Slump live action, my only problem is I don't want an actress. They're gonna cast someone who's like late teens to early 20s. I don't want that because like you know because like they want to make it more mature and all that. Like no, cast a child, like literally someone from 10 to like 15 maybe maximum. Cast a child and that's it. Keep the Senbei Norimaki because I always kind of saw him in his 30s basically. Keep Senbei Norimaki also in his 30s. Midori, the teacher he has a crush on, also, you know, like late 20s to early 30s. You know, and even like all the teens who are like friends with Arale, like keep them like I mean you can cast them like late teens. For them, it's okay.
Mhm.
But like for Arale, like again, because you have some creators like, oh, we wanna age them up a little bit and everything. No, I don't want that with Arale, because they do, that's immediately red flags, screwing it up. Go ahead.
Now, did you actually? So I found out, when was it? Friday, I think, Thursday. They're doing Dragon Ball Daima.
Daima, yeah.
Daima. They're releasing the first 3 episodes here in the U.S., like mashed together in like a movie.
Oh.
November 10th through the 12th. And then I'm assuming the rest of the episodes are going to be released on Crunchyroll or something.
But wait a minute, it's coming out in October, not November.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be like a month later here.
Oh, right, yeah, the dubbing, right.
And I'm assuming
first comes the Japanese, then comes the dubbing.
And I'm assuming the rest of the episodes then will be on either Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, or Crunchyroll. I don't know.
I think Crunchyroll.
But what's cool is you were right last week when you said Stephanie Nadonali is going to be back as Goku.
But just Goku. Yeah,
but she is perfect. Like, my feeling is, if they couldn't have got her back as Goku, I wouldn't have wanted them to do the dub in English, because she was the only way that it was ever going to work.
I think it's such a shame, because I would have literally pushed you to watch like Japanese Dragon Ball.
I probably would have, if they had not dubbed it here. I probably would have had to do that.
By the way, I want to ask you one thing. Again, with Akira Toriyama, did you have a chance to watch Sandland?
I didn't. I need to go back and watch that.
Did you watch all the 13 episodes, or just like the first 8 or something?
No, I need to go back and watch. I need to go back and watch that.
Because you never told me, as far as you watched, I mean, you never told me your first impression.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch that again.
Because Sandland, just like Dr. Slump, although Sandland is more like action-packed than Dr. Slump, but like Sandland is also a type of project that Akira Toriyama did, that basically he unleashed his imagination, literally. And one of the things that I love about it, that every single mangaka have a very similar style. Some of them more, some of them less. But Akira Toriyama, no one can mimic his style. His style for me was always unique.
Well, here's a question I have about Daima. Since they revealed Stephanie Nadonali back as Goku, do you think that means that they're going to be kids?
Well, so far, there's one thing, actually, you were right. It looks like the kid thing, it looks like it's a curse. Because everyone was turning to a child. Everyone. Not just simply Goku, or not just simply Goku like he was in GT or something like that. Like, everyone was turning to a child. So I've searched a little bit. It looks like it's definitely some kind of a curse that these like demons or whatever put on them. So I think like definitely like for a time, like we will see them as adults, and then like later on we will see them as children, and then again maybe near the end as adults again.
What I don't understand is that the thing that is, I think it had to be something that targeted the Supreme Kind Kibito, though, because they're shrunk down too.
Yeah, but you have to remember, Dragon Ball Daima is one of the last like creations of Akira Toriyama. So he's the one who wrote the story and everything.
Well, and then the other question I have about it is, we know that Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super are canon.
Yes.
I'm not going to say Dragon Ball GT is canon, because I'll probably get hate mail from all the people who hate Dragon Ball GT. I
told you, I don't give a fuck. Even if for me it will be canon for me.
But I wonder how Daima is going to fit in. If it's going to be canon, if it's going to be like a side universe, like how it's going to fit in.
Well, so far, I mean, I've said that before. Like, so far, the timeline is going to be between Majin Buu Saga and Battle of the Gods. like between
That
those
makes
two.
that makes the most sense for me. Although a lot of the characters look like they're wearing their super like outfits.
Or was it like
Especially
between?
Mr. Satan.
Yeah, because like Battle of the Gods was the last Dragon Ball Z project.
Yeah,
So and yet they told the story again on Dragon Ball Super. So
yeah.
does it count as this like a Dragon Ball Super project or not?
See, I don't know.
But anyway, I've read somewhere that it's going to be between Majin Buu Saga and Battle of the Gods. So again, timeline wise, it's still canon.
The thing I'm going to be curious about is having Vegeta. I keep going back to this. Having Vegeta and Piccolo shrunk down to kids. This is probably going to be one of the first projects where they don't have Christopher Sabat playing Vegeta and Piccolo. And that is going to be really, really, really interesting for me because, like, that voice is so iconic as Vegeta and Piccolo, and having anybody else step into those roles is going to be interesting. And the thing I wonder is, do they find an actress or an actor who can double both roles? Because that role has, I think, for as long as Chris Sabat has been Piccolo and Vegeta, that role has been a dual role.
I don't know. We shall see. I mean, so far, I mean, when it comes to this kind of information, I don't know. So we shall have to wait and see.
Animation wise, it looks great. And then the trailer too. If you listen to the trailer, the Kamehameha and the Super Saiyan power ups, they sound really, really great.
Yeah, like, and also for me personally, it's kind of great to see Goku back with that red stick.
Yeah,
I like to see that.
I like that. I like that a lot. It kind of the show kind of looks like it's going to go back to the adventure sort of Dragon Ball, which I also kind of like. I'm going to be curious how they mesh it together in the movie theater, how they mesh the first 3 episodes together. I don't know. I think that'll be interesting. I do hope they have Doc Morgan back as the narrator.
I don't know. We shall see.
Do you remember in Super, in that one episode in the 2nd season, where they're putting together that team for that fight with Champa and the narrator and Goku kind of break the 4th wall and talk to each other? The narrator's kind of trying to narrate it. Goku's like constantly interrupting him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my god, that was so funny. That was so funny. Doc Morgan, he as the narrator, he's somebody. I think he started in Dragon Ball Z Kai, and he was somebody again. It took me a little bit of time to get used to because I always liked Kyle Hebert.
The original one, right, from Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball as well.
Yeah. I always liked him, but Doc Morgan, he kind of grew on me a little bit. I kind of like his voice. I kind of hope they have him back.
I get it, but here's a question. Here's one thing I actually have heard somewhere. Now, again, it's just a rumor. It's not exactly official, but it looks like that the Dragon Ball Daima is not actually going to be Akira Toriyama's final work, but actually his final work will actually be a Dragon Ball movie.
Really?
Yeah, I heard stories. Well, again, so far it's just a rumor, but there's a rumor going around that from like different sources, and they said that like all these sources are very reliable. But they said that that Akira Toriyama, before he passed away, that he actually finished a script for a new Dragon Ball Super movie. Now, again, it's just a rumor. If this is true, I really hope they're going to announce it soon. If this is true again.
That made me think of something. Did you see? It was a hoax. Like a year or so ago, they did a CGI version of Goku that they said was going to be used in like a Disney animated show targeted at kids.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that.
I remember I saw that. My first thought was, what the hell is this?
Although personally, I just have to say, Disney-wise, he actually looks pretty cute.
Yeah, he actually he looks odd, but he also, you're right, he actually does kind of look a little bit cute. He actually does kind of look like, and I'll be honest, I think that show, if they did anything like it, would fail miserably because like making the Dragon Ball characters and Dragon Ball franchise for little kids, I don't
Oof.
think you could do that easily.
No way.
But that said, part of me, a small part of me, kind of was hoping it was real because I would kind of be curious to. I'd kind of be curious to see it, like how badly they botch it and like what they're thinking would be with it.
Well, again, we just have to wait and see. We just have to wait and see. But like one thing for sure, if Disney get their hands on like to make a Dragon Ball like Disney version, trust me, trust me, like the stories, the fights, and like everything will be like extremely short because you have no idea, like we have no idea, like we have no idea how many fights and violent scenes they're gonna have to remove or tone them down, like oh my god, they would have looked silly, extremely silly, and although because again, like the Disney always had this policy to kind of like be family friendly and everything, so getting something like Dragon Ball, that's not very family friendly.
Yeah.
Although when it comes to Dragon Ball Kai, I do miss that filler episode with the driver's license.
Yes, that was funny.
That was I love to watch that episode. Unfortunately, I cannot find it in Japanese, so I had to watch it on dub. But every time when I watch it, I piss myself crying with laughter because it's so hilarious. Oh my god,
that's a good one.
Yeah, and I love like Goku doing crazy and shit, and Piccolo driving like 5 miles an hour or something, and then basically like Goku going crazy, he just goes like meow, and then Piccolo, you want to race? You got it! I love that. And then later on, they just simply said, "Oh, you guys don't need a driving license. No, you're fine as well you are." So basically, they all did for nothing. Anyway, like I think we went really off the topic this time. Like from Ben 10, we went all the way to Dragon Ball. Jesus. Yeah. So this is gonna be basically Ben 10 plus bonus Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Jesus. Or should I say plus bonus Dragon Ball and some other Akira Toriyama work.
Yes.
Jesus. Oh my god. But anyway, like after this discussion, honestly, like I'll definitely decide to finally check out Ben 10. Although personally, I think like I'm gonna watch until Ultimate Alien, but maybe when I go to Ultimate Alien, maybe I'll give Omniverse a chance.
Yeah, Omniverse. If you can get past the animation, it's good.
Yeah, they're just simply some designs that I really don't like. Like for example, what they did with Zombozo.
Yeah, you just kind of have to get past the animation a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know, but the one thing I can't wait to check out is definitely the original one. I definitely cannot wait to see it. Also, I just noticed that. Do you know that Generator Rex and the Secret or Saturdays? These shows are actually in the same universe as Ben 10.
Yeah. Generator Rex, they did a crossover with Ben 10, I think, an Ultimate Alien. Which was that? It was interesting.
Because again, I mean, I could see them being in the same universe, but again,
Ben 10 did crossover with the Secret Saturdays in Omniverse.
Oh yeah, wait, wasn't the Secret Saturdays crossover when that Yu Argus, the Yeti villain, became became like a robot?
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah, honestly, I preferred it more as a normal Yeti than a robot.
I think that was it.
Yeah, but I will say this about the Secret Saturdays. I love the idea that the main villain is a fucking Yeti.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. Honestly, for me personally, I know he's wearing a mask, but for me personally, I will literally go to this guy, to this Yeti, and say, "Take off that mask. You don't need it. You're way too scary without it." Yeah, I mean, can you imagine a fucking Yeti being a criminal mastermind? I mean, That for me personally is revolutionary creative.
Well,
To
I
have
mean,
a Yeti.
a turtle's the big bad in Mario.
Well, okay, fair
Go
enough.
go figure that they made a $1 billion game company. They made a $1 billion game, and it's spawned like TV shows and movies and everything. And their main villain is a turtle.
Yeah, a crocodile slash turtle villain. Well, Bowser. Well, with Bowser, he's a turtle with a face that almost looks like a buffed up cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I just said to myself like a few seconds ago, like if since Bowser is a turtle, Argus is a Yeti. I'm like, okay, I just can't fucking wait to see a whale being a villain.
Oh, I'm sure that's in the pipeline somewhere. I'm sure there's some show that has that in the pipeline.
I mean, can you imagine a fucking like let's just say a sperm whale that is basically like is basically kind of like in a suit, like his nose is like big, filled with scars and things like that, like and he's like a criminal mastermind.
Oh, I'm sure they have that. I'm sure that's somewhere.
Oh my god, I mean seriously, yeah. I mean, but to be fair, again, no offense to Ben 10 and all the fans, but for me personally, I will much prefer like Generator Rex and Secret Saturdays rather than Ben 10 because like those stories for me personally are way more interesting than Ben 10. But nevertheless, I will give Ben 10 a shot.
I like Generator Rex. I got into that a little more after I started it.
Yeah. I mean, Van Cleese, who was voiced by Troy Baker, like Van Cleese for me, he's a great villain. And I mean, he's basically, if you look at it, he's basically Magneto.
Yeah.
In a way, but I really, really liked him as a villain. Actually which villain in Generator Rex, I know how much far you went, but which villain I think it needed a little bit more development. The replacement of White Knight, Black Knight.
Yeah.
I mean, that woman for me personally, she was an interesting villain, but she needed a little bit more development.
Yeah.
And also it was really sad to see White Knight being replaced, because I mean he was fucking voiced by J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
So it's a shame, and also I was really surprised to see J.K. Simmons, like, how they got him for Generator Rex. I mean,
well, they had Mark Hamill, like for the last arc of Ben 10 Omniverse, the main villain Maltruant, I think that was his name. They had Mark Hamill voicing him.
Wait, what you said the name was?
Maltruant, I think. I'm gonna look and see. I think that was the name.
How do you spell it?
Oh yeah, Maltruant. Yeah, Maltruant.
Okay, thank you. Whoa, he looks like wow, he looks like some kind of a steampunk robot. Is this like a robot with kind of like a red center
sort of.
in the...
Yeah. He's like a time traveling villain too.
And he's voiced by Mark Hamill.
Yep.
In which show?
Omniverse.
Okay, just for Mark Hamill, I'm definitely give it a shot to Omniverse.
Yeah. That just like J.K. Simmons, that's a voice actor that like you wouldn't necessarily think, or even an actor you wouldn't necessarily think would do an animated show like that.
Okay, Mark Hamill is a different story because he created a career in voice acting, so that's a different story.
Mark Hamill, he really is a good voice actor.
And he even said a lot of times that if he had to choose between live action and animation, he would choose animation because he told me that he said in an interview that he preferred voice acting because, like, you don't have a director, telling you like which expression you have to say, how your eyes have to look, which position, everything. It's all just about the voice.
Who do you think he'll get typecast? Who do you think he gets typecast as more, Luke Skywalker or the Joker?
You mean like Mark Hamill?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I mean, those are, I think, probably his two most iconic roles.
Well, here's the thing: Luke Skywalker, when it comes to like live action acting, honestly, that's not a typecast because like Mark Hamill, I've seen his acting, in live action, and every single character that he does. Well, again, it depends on the story and type of character he's doing. But the point is, none of them are similar to Luke Skywalker. None of them. Now when it comes to voice acting, that's a different story, because there are some characters that kind of like, when you heard them, you think like, okay, he sounds like the Joker.
Mhm.
But nevertheless, there are a lot of characters that he voices that they have nothing to do with the Joker. And he still does a great job.
Maltrun, I'll tell you, he sounds nothing like the Joker. If I'm remembering right, he kind of has like a Russian, like sort of like accent to him.
Is his voice? Just tell me one thing: is his voice mechanical?
I'm trying to remember. I think there were some mechanics in it. Like there were some like not mechanics, but what's the word? I'm gonna say auto tune. If that makes any sense.
Okay.
Like there was some production in it. But
okay.
It's a good voice. I mean, it's and actually his character shows up, I think, I'm trying to remember. I think he's in the last like 2 arcs predominantly. I mean, he like is the main villain of the last arc, but he's in the last 2 arcs.
I mean, is he actually a machine or like a man inside the machine?
So he's actually a machine. He's actually an evil version of Ben's one alien, Clockwork.
Okay.
Yeah, he's actually kind of like an evil version of that alien race. He was actually a cool villain.
Okay. After we're done with this, like I'll definitely check out like Ben 10. But to be fair, I'm gonna start from the beginning, because because even my friend told me like because since everything is connected, so I'll start from the beginning.
Yeah, you definitely want to start. You definitely want to start from the beginning. I think you'll enjoy it more that way.
Because my friend even told me that even though everything is connected, he told me that he told me basically like trust me, like everything you will see in the future. Like for example, like he gave me an example. Like if you finish like the first show, when you see everything you see in Alien Force or Ultimate Alien. Trust me, but he told me like you won't get a headache. Like oh, where I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna remember it immediately.
Yeah,
because it has nothing. Because nothing. He told me that nothing is complicated.
Yeah, it's all fairly simple and easily digestible by and large. And like I mean, it's all really easy to follow. Like it's nothing like that you're gonna have to think too much about. Like they don't reference like minute things that like you'll be thinking like, oh, what episode was that? What episode was that? They don't really reference minute things. So I mean, your friend's right. It really doesn't give you a headache remembering this stuff.
Especially, I think like I'm gonna go very easy with the Omniverse since every single season is 10 episodes. So like I think like you can finish the entire season like in like few hours.
Oh yeah, Omniverse. I mean, 10 episodes. I mean, it is really easy to get through them.
Yeah, only like I think like Alien Force and Ultimate Alien like they have like some seasons like with 20 episodes altogether.
Yeah.
Those
are. I mean, they're the same as the others. I mean, they're easy to digest, but
I just want to ask you, like, is everything connected or there are like filler episodes?
I think there are filler episodes.
Okay.
I need to go back and watch it, but I think there are a couple filler episodes.
Well, I mean, like even in like 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like when you have 10 episodes, like you can easily concentrate the entire storyline in 10 episodes.
Yeah. It's they're filler episodes.
But okay. I mean, after like a long chat outside the Dragon Ball bonus that we did, like there's a lot of things that you and I have discussed, like that really made me interested to like finally after all these years to watch Ben 10. And I honestly will say this: I'm really happy that I'm not the only one who watched the Generator Rex, because like I think like when it comes to the Secrets of Saturdays and Janitor Rex, I think like those shows. I know maybe it's just me, but like I think like they're not way too much appreciated. I think they're like underrated.
Yeah, they are underrated for sure.
Yeah, because like I don't know, because like I've seen a lot of people talk about more about Ben 10 than actually those two, and I think like they deserve to be talked about, because like for example, Janitor Rex, he has a really great story. Sure, he has some filler episodes, but the story is really really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even like the Secret Saturdays, I mean, I haven't watched that in a long time, but like even that, I remember the story is like really well connected, and I like the idea of like the family being, like this kind of like secret agents. I love that.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, what was the? I always forgot. What was the monster? Was he like some kind of a Bigfoot or something? What was he?
Oh, I can picture him. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, because like what was it? Shit. Wait, wasn't it also at one point that the team kind of expanded?
Yes.
Because like at first I know there was like the son, the mother, and the father, and then later on like there's someone else joined as well.
Yes, I do. I do have a memory of that.
Okay. Okay. Oh shit. Doesn't matter. Shit! I cannot find like the name of this creature. Yeah, but he kind of looks like a yeti with a face of an owl.
Yes.
Well, actually, no. Actually, to be more precise, like a Bigfoot with the face of an owl.
I can kind of picture it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh shit! It's almost 8 a.m. here. We're like almost 2.5 hours into this. Oh my god. Yeah. I think like this again. We have another discussion that came to an end. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's time to close this thing. It's time to shut it down. Yeah. Do you have anything more to say?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because I sure don't. Because even with the small knowledge I have with Ben 10, like my artillery is like wide wide empty. Okay. So another episode came to a close. Thank you everyone who enjoyed this lovely almost 2.5 hours of us discussing, going all over the place, with a little bit of a bonus just for you guys about Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama's other works, and also under like Ben 10 like cinematic universe like TV shows as well.
And if any of you have any hate mail for us, I should tell you we don't accept hate mail.
He doesn't accept it, but if you have something for me, just go for it. I will just ignore it like all the time. I'll just ignore it. Who gives a shit? Anyway, you got all of you guys and girls, like you know the drill. Comment, like, subscribe, visit my channel if you want to see more of my content, and see you guys up till the next upcoming Shadow Council episode. But until then, like always, Lord of Shadows, signing off. And hero time is over. So see you guys next time. Cheerio.